I remember the dry heat of that Denver summer wrapping around me like an old blanket as I sat in my cluttered office at Rocky Tech Solutions, staring at the screen where the quarterly optimization report finally balanced out. The Rockies loomed outside the window, jagged and unyielding, much like the tension building in the hallway. That's when Dale's voice cut through the air like a coyote's howl at dusk, sharp, accusing, desperate. "Why the hell is she billing us for consulting hours?" he bellowed, his boots thudding against the linoleum as he stormed toward my door. I'd already anticipated this. Sipping my black coffee, strong and bitter like the regrets I was about to unearth, I closed my laptop and placed a crisp copy of my contract addendum on the desk's edge. Dale burst in, his face as red as the Colorado clay, waving a sheaf of invoices like they were evidence in a frontier trial. "You could have done this pro bono," he snarled, his Stetson hat askew from whatever ranch-style retreat he'd just returned from. "This vendor mapping? It's internal ops. We never greenlit an external bill." I didn't budge an inch. Just pointed to Clause 7B. Clear as a mountain stream. Any tasks beyond core duties, once approved via email or memo, trigger adjusted consulting rates unless waived in writing. He went still, his bluster fading like smoke from a dying campfire. Men like Dale, all bravado and boardroom swagger, crumble when confronted with their own John Hancock. Before he could muster another excuse, I slid a white envelope across the desk, my resignation, sealed and final. "My new gig starts Monday," I said evenly. "With the vendor you wouldn't let me help without strings. They offered me ops director, real authority, and a salary that respects my worth." Dale's eyes widened, like he'd just spotted a rattlesnake in his path. I didn't wait for the outburst. I stood, grabbed my jacket, and walked out, the whispers from the engineering team trailing me like echoes in a canyon. Did he really say that to her? But this wasn't some sudden showdown. It had been brewing for years, slow and steady like a gathering storm over the plains. For nearly a decade, I'd been the backbone at Rocky Tech, optimizing systems in the shadows while the execs rode high on the profits. Denver's tech scene was booming, startups sprouting like wildflowers after rain, but my role was the unglamorous grind, automating compliance, slashing procurement delays by 40%, streamlining onboarding so we didn't lose talent to the wind. Dale knew the stats. He paraded them in investor meetings. But my name never crossed his lips. I didn't mind at first. I came from a family of ranchers out near Pueblo. Hard work without fanfare was in my blood. I just wanted to keep the gears turning, fix those glitchy databases before they derailed a deal, and maybe snag a quiet lunch at a food truck downtown without a frantic Slack ping. Then Kyle showed up, fresh from some Ivy League MBA program back east, with his polished boots and that grin like he'd invented sunshine. Dale called him a visionary. I saw him as a greenhorn tourist in cowboy country. His grand plan? Lean operations, code for slashing anything without a shiny app or viral potential. "My team was too back-end," he said. "Too costly for what you deliver." Dale nodded along, his flannel shirt straining over his gut. Their first play, dump a vendor integration project on me. Unpaid overtime disguised as collaboration. "Just map our workflows for them," Dale drawled over a team barbecue, smoke from the grill mingling with his cigar. "Show that Rocky Tech spirit." I forced a smile, the kind you give when spotting trouble on the horizon. Per my contract, anything outside scope needs a comp adjustment, Clause 7B. Dale brushed it off like dust from his jeans.
"Ah,
"Alex, it's just paperwork," Kyle chimed in, all eager. "No one's gonna charge family." But we weren't family. We were a corporation in the cutthroat West, where water rights and contracts meant survival. Spoiler. I charged them. They signed off without a glance. Emails timestamped. Approvals casual as a handshake at a rodeo.
I dove in?
Rebuilding the onboarding from scratch. Integrating APIs for 4 suppliers. Crafting audit trails compliant with Colorado's data laws and federal regs. It wasn't grunt work. It was engineering a lifeline for the vendor to meet SOC 2 standards. 3 weeks of late nights, fueled by diner coffee and the hum of my home office fan. When the invoice landed in accounting, Dale's explosion shook the building like a minor quake. Walking out that day, I left more than a desk. I left a web of systems tuned to precision, ones that demanded skilled hands. They figured I'd crawl back. Instead, I drove west toward the mountains, the envelope in my pocket feeling like a ticket to freedom. But freedom came with echoes of the past. And as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in fiery oranges, I wondered if this was justice or just the start of a longer trail. The drive home that afternoon felt endless, the highways stretching like a vein through the arid Colorado landscape, dotted with billboards for ski resorts and tech hubs. My mind replayed the years at Rocky Tech, each memory a thorn in the side. It started innocently enough, small favors, like tweaking a dashboard for Dale's pet project. But Kyle's arrival turned the trickle into a flood. He'd saunter into my office, tablet in hand, flashing that East Coast charm that clashed with our laid-back Denver vibe. "Hey, Alex. Quick one, could you sketch an API flow for Fleet Dynamics? Won't take long. Each quick 8 hours. Pulling me from core duties into vendor weeds we'd outsourced for good reason." Kyle wasn't evil, he was clueless. Like a dude ranch tourist thinking he could herd cattle after one lesson. Too proud to admit his innovations were sparks on dry tinder. Dale enabled it, lounging in my doorway like we were old pals at a saloon. "It'll boost your profile. Show leadership," he'd say, his voice gravelly from too many late-night strategy sessions. I kept calm, always citing Clause 7b. Scope expansions required written comp.
Jesus.
"Alex, don't be so rigid," Dale grumbled. But rigidity saved ranches from overgrazing. It saved companies too. I let the first few slide, prioritizing the big picture. After all, I was the one patching leaks while they chased rainbows. But I'd learned hard lessons early. Back in my first year, I watched a colleague, Maria, get squeezed out. She'd architected our compliance backbone, only to get a thanks plaque and a pink slip days before her bonus vested. I observed, absorbed, document everything, build safeguards. So when they pushed the vendor project, I documented like a lawyer prepping for court. Emails,
Timestamps.
archives, ironclad under U.S. labor laws and Colorado's employment statutes. I crafted the compliance map, not just useful, but vital. Airproof audit trails, seamless integrations avoiding FTC scrutiny. The vendor, Fleet Dynamics out in Wyoming, didn't realize how shoddy Dale's specs were until my blueprints showed the gaps. Kyle kept boasting. "They're lucky to partner with us."
No.
We were lucky I prevented a regulatory dust-up. Dale swiped credit, slipping my docs into his pitch deck like he'd wrangled them himself. I saved the metadata. Author, Alex Thompson. Edited by Dale Harrington. Cracks appeared fast. The vendor pinged follow-ups Kyle couldn't field, forwarding them to me at odd hours with quick favor subjects. I ignored the Sunday night one. Monday, Dale cornered me by the coffee machine, the aroma of fresh brew mixing with his frustration. "What gives? We needed that input." "Clause 7b, I replied, stirring my mug. He waved it off. "Don't nickel and dime us, we're a team." I met his gaze. "Then honor the team contract." He stormed away. Kyle emailed next, proposing a brainstorm lunch with Fleet on them. Of course. I forwarded to HR, archiving it. My work wasn't charity, it was infrastructure. The unseen scaffolding holding Rocky Tech aloft. If they wanted it gratis, they'd learn the true cost of undervaluing it. Dale's meltdown peaked when the invoice cleared. He slammed into my office again, folder thwacking the desk. You're kidding. Consulting hours for internal support. I shut my screen. Voice steady. You approved the scope shift. Email dated last month. I slid the printout over. His curt go ahead. Accounting had processed it via the portal I'd built. Efficient. Unassailable. You tricked us, he hissed. No, I said. You skimmed. Then came the envelope. New role. Ops director at Fleet. Better everything. His face paled like he'd seen a ghost town come alive. I rose, tucking my chair, grabbing my exit binder. Passwords reset. Docs handed off. No loose ends. Kyle hovered in the hall, mute as a startled deer. Where to? He mumbled. Somewhere contracts matter. I shot back, heels clicking like spurs on the tile. Engineers murmured as Dale's voice cracked behind me. In the parking lot. I tossed my box in the truck, the Rockies watching impassively. My phone buzzed, accounting confirming the bill. I replied, confirmed. Smiley emoji optional. By midweek. Legal huddled upstairs. Ties tight as nooses. Pandemic-era contracts like mine had sneaky clauses. Mine tied comp to scope.
Auto-triggering on assignments.
Dale had signed several, doling out favors recklessly. Finance froze budgets. HR memoed clarifications. Clients queried delays. Where's the Q4 patch? Systems hummed on autopilot until they didn't. Backlogs choked flows. Vendors flagged breaches. I hadn't sabotaged. I'd stopped babysitting. Kyle vanished. Slack status, away. Whispers spread. Redacted hours. Legal reviews. They tried blaming me. Offboarding issues, but my flagged refusals and memos shut that down. Silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. The fallout unfolded like a slow-burn wildfire across the high plains. Smoke signals rising from Rocky Tech's glass facade in downtown Denver. Legal's review unearthed not just my clause, but a half-dozen similar ones, quiet renegotiations from the COVID retention push. Engineers, analysts, even a dev who'd coded our billing backbone during a personal low. Dale had rubber-stamped most. Blind to the fine print, assigning extra work equaled approval for rates. His quick favors now tallied like bad debts at a cattle auction. By Thursday, chaos reigned. Finance ran exposure models. HR locked doors for audits.
Client.
Polite at first. Sharpened tones. Dashboard stalled. Audits lagged. The systems I'd built weren't fragile. They were precise, requiring oversight no one else grasped. Dependencies interlocked like fence lines, disrupt one, and the herd scatters. Dale tried overrides, but banners flashed, authorization halted, chain of custody violation. An engineer, Jess from security, repeated, needs secondary keys. Those keys? In my exit memo. Labeled do not modify, with warnings bold as hazard signs, disrupt flows.
Trigger audits per clause 9.
They skimmed that too. By Friday, Fleet's email hit General Counsel. Breach notification, deliverables outstanding. Polite, but laced with steel.
Sitting from a workside drafta.
Dale's sign-offs. Clause 9C shifted liability for mismanagement, standard in Western vendor packs. Enforceable under Wyoming and Colorado law.
No excuses, accountability ruled.
Internal triage kicked in, procurement dissected logs. Legal drafted mitigations with penalty clauses looming. Dale spun blame. On Kyle, on leave. On me, withheld knowledge. But Sarah from legal slid my pre-exit PDF. Detailed FAQs. Dependencies. Bolded risks. Proceed with caution. It ended.
Dale went mute.
Fleet didn't play games. They demanded timelines.
Logs.
Rocky tech scrambled. Finance crunching penalties. HR whispering in garages. I wasn't there. But the echoes reached me via old colleagues' texts. It's unraveling. Systems halted. Not broken. Guardrails I'd installed to prevent chaos now enforced it. Dale's manual pushes failed. Pipelines flagged checkpoints. Every stall whispered. Did she leave notes? Yes, but unread. Meanwhile, Fleet flew me to Cheyenne. Their HQ amid windswept prairies. No frills. A boardroom overlooking ops floors. CTO poring over my docs. We want you leading integrations, the COO said. Salary doubled. Autonomy promised. I paused after years as background glue. I craved more than revenge. I negotiated. Licensing vetoes. Project transparency. A non-disparagement for all sides. They signed. I did too. Monday. Badge in hand. I built anew, no micromanaging. Just engineers eager for solid foundations. Back at Rocky. Backlog snowballed. Clients fumed over errors. A major logistics firm threatened withholdings. My name surfaced, not from pitches, but queries. Alex handled our rebuild flawlessly. Fleet-eyed poaching them. I agreed. Professionally. Dale's firm landed on watch lists. Board demanded breakdowns of legacy systems mine. Ironically, whispers turned to memos. Season of transition. Layoffs loomed. I fielded Fleet's pings on old integrations, responding via tickets. Verified signatures. Gatekeeping. Yes.
But fair.
Week 3. That logistics client signed with Fleet, citing my reliability. Dale resigned quietly. Kyle pursued interests. The board pivoted. But the invoice, that spark, paid in full. Clause 7b referenced. Yet, as I settled into my new role, staring at Wyoming sunsets, a pang hit. Revenge felt hollow amid the vast West. I'd won. But at what cost to the team left behind? Old colleagues messaged, morale tanked. Good folks suffering. Human decency tugged. Perhaps this wasn't just about settling scores. Settling into Fleet dynamics felt like trading a dusty trail for a well-marked highway. The wind still howled outside Cheyenne. But inside, collaboration flowed without the undercurrents of betrayal. My team respected the blueprints. No one skimmed contracts or demanded freebies. Yet, echoes from Denver lingered like distant thunder. Texts from former coworkers painted a grim picture, systems grinding to halts. Clients bolting like spooked horses. Boardroom tensions thick as fog in the foothills. The turning point came mid-month. An unexpected call from Rocky's new interim CEO.
Elena Vargas, a sharp.
No-nonsense exec poached from a Boulder firm. Alex. We need to talk, she said, her voice steady over the line.
No bluster.
Just facts. The breaches. The losses. The realization that my departure had exposed rot at the core. Dale and Kyle are gone. We're auditing everything. But we can't fix this without understanding what you built. I hesitated. The Rockies silhouette against my window reminding me of home's pull. Clause 9 allowed for consultations, paid. Of course, but personnel changes open doors for bridges, not burns. What's the ask? I probed. Elena laid it bare, a mediated session, neutral ground, to transfer knowledge properly. No blame games, focus on continuity. Fleet approved, seeing it as goodwill in the competitive West. We met in a neutral Denver conference room, sunlight streaming through like a peace offering. Elena brought HR leads and engineers, folks I'd mentored. No Dale's ghosts, just earnest faces. We undervalued you, Elena admitted up front, eyes meeting mine. The culture let favors become exploitation. We're rewriting policies, clear scopes, fair comp from day one. I shared docs, walked through dependencies, highlighted safeguards I'd installed to comply with federal data laws and state regs. Questions flew, but respectful, no quick favors. An engineer, Tom, confessed, we saw the signs but stayed silent.
So the
Emotion welled. These were good people, caught in the crossfire. I nodded. Silence costs everyone. Speak up next time. The session stretched, productive as a spring rain. By end, systems unstuck, audits cleared. Rocky paid consulting fees, properly invoiced. Clause 7B honored. But more, Elena offered an olive branch. A part-time advisory role if interested. I declined politely. My path lay with Fleet. Yet, closure settled like dust after a storm. Back in Cheyenne, I reflected on the drama's arc. What started as betrayal morphed into reckoning, not just for them,
but me.
I'd armored up with contracts. But humanity demanded more, empathy amid justice. The West taught that vast lands where grudges fade. Lessons endure. Rocky stabilized. Implementing changes, transparent workloads, recognition programs echoing rancher fairness. Clients returned, drawn by reformed stability. I thrived at Fleet, leading expansions into Nevada markets, building teams that valued every cog. In quiet moments, watching prairies roll, I felt peace. No villains left, just people learning. Dale, rumor had it, started a small consultancy in Montana, humbler, wiser. Kyle pursued further education, perhaps gaining depth. The story wasn't vengeance's triumph, but growth's quiet victory. Systems speak, but hearts heal. As months blurred into seasons, the Colorado aspens turning gold then bare, I found rhythm in my new life at Fleet, projects launching smoothly, teams collaborating like a well-oiled herd drive. Yet, the drama's residue lingered, a reminder that corporate frontiers demand vigilance and compassion. One crisp fall day, an email from Elena arrived, progress update, thanks to your insights. Attached, metrics showing Rocky Tech's recovery, delays slashed, retention up 25%. They'd even named a training module after my compliance frameworks, a nod to the unsung. It stirred something deep, a blend of vindication and warmth. I'd set out to protect myself, wielding Clause 7B like a sheriff's badge. But the true win was systemic change. No more invisible labor. Policies now mandated scope reviews. Echoing U.S. fair labor standards with a Western twist, straight talk.
No smoke.
Occasionally, I drive back to Denver, the mountains cradling memories. At a tech meetup, I bumped into Tom, the engineer. You changed everything, he said over craft beers. We talk boundaries now, no more free rides. His gratitude hit hard. I'd been that quiet fixer once. Undervalued until the break. Fleet flourished too. Integrations expanded to Arizona. My role evolving into mentorship. I trained juniors on contract smarts, stressing, read the fine print, it's your shield. But I added, and extend grace, people err, but can learn. The lesson crystallized during a vendor dispute at Fleet. A partner skimmed terms, echoing Dale's folly. Instead of hardball, I mediated clear communication, fair adjustments. It resolved amicably, strengthening ties. That's leadership, my CTO noted. I smiled. It was humanity. Reflecting on the saga. From Dale's bellow to Elena's outreach. I saw growth's arc. Betrayal forged resilience. Drama unveiled flaws. But redemption? That came from choosing bridges over burns. In the vast West, where horizons stretch endless, grudges weigh heavy, better to release. Carry lessons light. Years on, I still cite Clause 7B in deals. But with context, it's protection, not punishment. Rocky Tech thrived anew, a testament to reform.
Dale.
In Montana, sent a LinkedIn note once. Congrats on my promotion. Subtle apology woven in. I replied graciously, water under the bridge. The story's heart, value your worth, but foster understanding. In corporate wilds, true power lies not in takedowns, but uplifts. As sun sets over prairies, I'm grateful for the storm, the calm, the wisdom won.